it's so easy to feel like I'm trusting the Lord when I have like my finances in order and I have a roof over my head and my body works and all of these things. And it's
Yeah.
only when those things start to, the foundation of those things starts to shake that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I have a lot of like trust in this because it's starting to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
away and I'm
Right.
freaking
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. You've
Yeah, that's
discovered they're
so
not a
true.
foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I
Gosh.
I
have a
think
lot of trust in me.
Yeah.
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 But I mean,
Yeah.
you can see this whole COVID time. We're all being detached from all the things that we put our security in.
Yeah.
And in a way, there's a grace in this struggle going on in society because we are being detached, and it's painful
It's
in a
an
way.
opportunity.
But yeah, it's an opportunity to us. Okay, well, what does give me joy? Because I can't go to the movies, I can't go to concerts, I can't see all my friends. All the things that we normally could do. So where are we going to find our joy? And it's really in the Lord. He wants us to know it's in me. I'm your source of joy.
Yeah.
You have everything in me.
Yeah.
You really need nothing else
Right.
but me.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're learning that in this time.
Right. It's kind of like the story of like Saint Ignatius, where he was this very cavalier, like good at everything and good looking,
Yeah.
and
Wild
all the
dude.
women, all the things, wild dude, right? And then he gets injured, and he has no iPad or anything like that, and the only thing that was available is like the Bible or books about
Lives
saints.
of the Saints, yeah.
The lives of the saints, right? And so it's a similar thing where sometimes we get to that point where we're like, okay, my only option right now is to be like, okay, God, remember me? I sort of remember you. Let's try this out, because
I sort of
this is
remember
kind of,
you.
I don't know what else to do right now,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. Even except when I was praying this morning, I was praying with the temptation of Jesus, and like for some reason, like whenever I picture this in my head, I picture Jesus as like strong and you know what I mean, like was like upright and stand, because art like would picture him like that, but then I was like, that's not the reality. Like he had just fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, like he never even had strength to stand. And in that this is where the devil is pitching him all the lies, like, oh man, all of that stuff.
Wow, that's good, Erin. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It was just like kind of revelatory. I'm like, no, there's more to learn about Jesus' humanity. Like,
right.
It really is.
And when we're at our weakest, we get lied to by the enemy, right?
Yeah.
It's like Jesus stood and how did Jesus refute the enemy? Was with the scriptures, right?
Totally.
So we really need to know our scriptures too, to know how to, like, we do have a God we trust. Read the Psalms. The Psalms tell us what kind of God we have, right? And that helps in those times.
One might say we have to look to God's revelation to us, which of course is scriptures, and it could also have been a personal experience of God, but we need to look to God, how he has revealed himself to us.
That's right. Man, it's so crazy.
I also want to say I didn't have the because it was like I don't know, not it wasn't the right time. But I have a sister who has like an undiagnosed, really like a lot of health complications. And I mean, praise God, right now we're managing them. But it's managing kind of the same way that you were saying, where it's like you don't really like diet and things like that, and it's like helping but it's very unknown, and it's been like that maybe for 5 years now, and it's not, she's not in pain the way that you were daily, which is thank the Lord for that. But it was so powerful just personally to listen to how you navigated your journey. I mean, she doesn't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I'm going to make her listen to this one because I feel like I'm her sister and she should, but also this specific episode, I feel like is, might be edifying to her. Totally. It was to me as someone who like accompanies somebody in that situation. It really was very,
I love
helpful.
that you say like we're managing it too. Like
that is nice.
That's so sweet.
It's very beautiful in that. Like not she's managing it on her own.
We're managing it. That's right. That's so beautiful.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you need people to surround you at this time, right? So it's so beautiful.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like learning how to cling to Jesus, though. The whole suffering thing.
Yeah.
I think when Mother Teresa says, cleave. A man leaves his mother, he cleaves to his wife. Yeah. And the same way Jesus wants us to cleave to him, cling, and you can get through anything if you cling to Jesus. But it's like we're all learning how do you cling to Jesus?
Yeah.
And
I think it's a group hug. Like it's a, you know, like we can't sometimes you can't cling to Jesus alone. You need other people to be clinging to Jesus while you're kind of just like
that's a good point, Nicole.
Jesus comes to you through your community, your brother, sister.
Yeah, that's right. I know. It is true. Like it's just so funny. Even in the same way, I never thought about this before. Like, you know, I think about God. Okay, so God the Father, like I could see how that relationship would be like distorted because of, you know, our own experience with people, or even like with dads or things like that, right? But then like even with Jesus, right? Like clinging to Jesus for dear life. I'm like, I cannot picture doing that to any other human being, or like laying everything on a human, because like it's too much, you know, or or we've been rejected in times when we've done that with people before. And, you know, so it's like hard to
we're not supposed to be clingy is bad, but I think it's because the only person it's actually good to be clinging, and maybe that's what it is, like when we're being clinging with a human, it's because we know there's something deep in us that knows that there is someone to cling to.
Right.
That's just
a good
confused
point.
with a person with Jesus, you know.
Right.
That's right.
I feel like what you said about suffering kind of, I think it sort of does take you to that point where you have to, in a way, like it's either you cling to Jesus or it's nothing.
You give in.
Nothing.
Gosh.
You know, because I had times where I just spiral. Down you go, and it's like, oh, gotta go back to where you know, just trust. I trust you, Jesus.
Who else would we go to? You have the words of truth.
Exactly.
Yeah. And in that sense.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you say.
I have a question, but you do your comment. And then
I was just going to say that it makes sense, like some of the stuff like euthanasia and things like that, right? Like because if there is not that, then you are going to be clinging to something, even if that something is death.
So true.
Yeah.
I had a question. It was like, we didn't have time for it in the podcast. So it was like, when you go through something traumatic, so I'm with a few people in my life, we're working through like healing on our, you know, in our prayer time and in our lives. And I was just wondering, like, because there's so much fear, right? The experience of going through that kind of suffering does involve all that fear. And so you were talking about the anxiety and the truth and the lie thing, but how do you, did you take time to like intentionally process that experience, just like in journaling or something? Like, does the Lord lead you to do that, or did you just kind of like, okay, life, and then you just kept going? Because I'm the kind of person who just like keeps going with life, but then sometimes I think like, is the Lord calling me to take actual time out of my life and process trauma that's happened?
That's a good question. I mean, it kind of came up naturally that when the kids gave me, I'll show you this little book. Oh, I didn't bring it in. I have this little purple book, and they gave it to me for Mother's Day, one of the kids, and said, write down, you know, whatever you're going through. And then it developed into more. And what I found was if I just write down turning points, like any little things in prayer I got, or something somebody said, or people would send me a scripture, I'd write it down. Anything that gave me the light, you know, I would write it in this book. And now I'm going back, you know, every once in a while I go back and I read and I see these words of truth, these words of light. And then I can see, wow, look at the Lord was speaking to me through this whole time. And I could only sort of see the moment what I needed. But when I go back and I look at all these beautiful little scenarios that happen, and I would write down those words, it's amazing to see how he was walking right with me. And now they're a treasure, you know, and I can go, even now in my own journaling that I do, I write down the words Jesus says to me in my prayer time, and I go back every once in a while, especially if I can't sleep at night. I go back and I read his words that he gives me in prayer, and his presence comes back, and his words of truth come back, and I usually can sleep better after, because I'm just, you know, fed by these words. So I think it's really important to write down those moments of light.
Just save that. You just save that journal because it's going to be evidence.
Yeah,
and cause
yeah, that's
for your
right.
canonization. And you can be like Louie and Mary Zelly, right?
Yeah.
So you guys can be canonized together. You just have to dive soon after each other. So that if you could arrange.
Wait, they didn't die soon after each other, though.
Oh, they didn't. Okay,
no, they
so
didn't. So you don't have
that's
to.
true.
Or
I think you guys should keep yours too. And they're gonna see all of our journals, all of our faith together, right? That's so inspiring.
Well, if books get lost, save the podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm actually gonna burn all my journals so that it's just a podcast that exists.
That's right. Exactly.